What's new podcast? Who want the smoke? Coming raw and uncut like who want this dope? Whatever you want, they for sure to cover the topic. From racial issues to fashion flies to cockpit. Y'all ain't never get it like this, cause they ain't never did it like this. We on our this the way the cookie crumbles for y'all. She gon' bring the inspiration to all. You know what's up with her. And this year manifesting is a vision. And y'all gon' love TJ cause he the realest. From the heart of them all, they the start of it all. You looking for a holler and holler at your rod. The professor, nothing lesson, coming at you with the lessons. Get your edge if you knowin' what's good for you. They educated, but they still keep it hood for you. Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, got more love for yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how pro the floor is yours. 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 The floor is
What's up, people? How we doing? Welcome back to Greenwood. It's your boy Mars on the Floor is Yours podcast. Today we got your boy Flex, the producer, as always, and we got two gentlemen with us, the co-founders of Gentlemen by Choice, Ananas Pullum and Mr. Richard Jack. I'm going to start off by telling everybody to like and subscribe. The Floor is Yours podcast, Neurospace.llc for me, shameless plug in there. And I really want to allow these guys to not explain themselves, but go ahead and introduce themselves. We'll start with Brother Pullum.
Hey, good evening. My name is Antonis Pullum. North Las Vegas, Nevada, West Coast. Co-founder of Gentlemen by Choice. We've been doing this for 10 plus years. I'm an educator, 20 plus years. I met my brother, Flex, the producer, this past weekend. It was just a great experience and great collaboration, great brotherhood. So I'm honored to be on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Brother Pullum. And Brother
you,
Richard, would you like to?
Yeah, man.
You do.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Jack. I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm not a Nevadan, but I am now. I've been here 20 plus years. Came out here via the military, became an educator, got involved with what was going on in the community. Met my brother Pullum. We just clicked. And we got together and formed an organization designed to really help our young brothers in the neighborhood gain some life skills that would be beneficial. I met Gerard this past weekend, dropped knowledge on us, great fellowship, great opportunity to reach out and branch out and network, shared some opportunities for us and invited us back on there. So this is an honor.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys and welcome to the show. Brother Flex, any words from you before we get started?
Oh, man, just excited about this opportunity, man. You meet a lot of folks, man, but, you know, some people stand out. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, these two gentlemen, man, just to hear and witness what they're doing in the community. It was a no-brainer for me when I was like networking and coming up with folks to come on a podcast with a similar mission from us. So, man, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for making time. And, man, I hope that we get the people what they're looking for.
Yes, appreciate you guys, and I got to speak with you guys just a little bit before we got started. And these brothers right here, they're actually doing a lot of empowerment. They're doing a lot of work in the community. They told me that they just took some seniors on a college tour all around the country to see some HBCUs, which was actually definitely good for these guys to see at a young age, trying to do something with them lives. So I appreciate you guys for that. Let's see. I want to let everybody know that we have this topic called gun laws. Everybody's been talking about the gun laws. It's new. They just passed some laws. We're going to talk about basically what that does to our school system, because both of these brothers here have worked in the school system and under different terms. We just had some recent gun attacks as far as AR-15s, but it looks like some of these gun laws are going to be geared towards handguns. So some of those things we're going to get into today. I did want to start with Brother Richard. What do you think will be the biggest impact on the school systems with these gun laws that are passed? Basically, can you explain the kind of what you understand from the new gun laws, and then how that would impact the school systems?
Yeah, my research kind of gave me the impression that they're trying to expand the age of the individuals for the background check, as well as put some other language in there that would kind of hold people accountable for the gun safety law. The impact to me on schools would be that you'll have a greater or broader perspective in terms of the students that you're being able to background check. Before it was 21, now it's down to 18. And hopefully that will protect, to some degree, some people. I also feel as though that it's still limiting. It's not enough, right? Because I think the idea is that, hey, it's like they said, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And the perspective of it is it's a start, but this is a long-term problem that I don't think they're driving down bigger or deeper due to money to really search out and learn how to fix this issue.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny that it went from 21 to just 18, and then it's only talking about just the kids. They're talking about just kids. We're not talking about the adults. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of, it's not recent that they're doing mass shootings with teenagers, but it's also not the biggest problems. We have a lot of these mass shootings over 21. So we're kind of like, okay, what about those? It kind of seems like it got overshadowed just because we had recent events.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a band-aid approach, right? Do they really want to solve the gun law issue? Is it really going to do what we need to do? This has been enacted. I mean, gun laws has been around for a while, right? And so the question is, if there's laws out there, why are they ineffective?
Absolutely. And Brother Antonis, you got any thoughts on that? How you think it might impact the school systems?
It's a Band-Aid. Kids are going to do what they're going to do. I've never heard a school being shot up with a handgun. It's been
I was going to say the exact same thing.
AR-15. It's at the end of the day, it's all about money. We know the NRA is a very powerful and have great lobbyists up there lobbying in the government. And so, and I had never thought about it in my 20 plus years of teaching. I never thought about anybody coming on campus until this last recent incident. Never thought about it. We have parents come on campus, the kids. And I was just thinking, like, what if somebody just came on campus right now and just started shooting? I mean, I had never thought about that until just now. So exactly. It's a scary thought.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
I was going to say, man, when I hear a lot of people ask questions and, the news headlines, they rarely bring in teachers and educators to get their opinion. and for me, it's just weird because you are going through there. So they don't bring you in for questions, but they do put all these rules and suggestions. Hey, arm the teachers and, all these other things that they should do. But I just find it weird and strange and troubling, if you will, that they don't solicit you all for your opinions more.
Yeah, I think that the people that's going to be there is the most important opinion. They don't even do that. They don't even do that with education. So what make you think they're going to do that with guns?
There you have it.
So, I mean, well, I'm going to ask you guys some questions then, since I got you here, you educators and people looking over and making decisions for our kids, because you guys do matter. Your opinions matter because you guys are, feet and on the ground in the field. What do you guys think about the motion of teachers or educators? Carrie.
Oh, absolutely not. There are teachers who I feel would turn and shoot some of the kids. I really do. I'm gonna just speak on my district because this is the district I don't. Our district makes up 80% of white folks, and not saying all white folks are bad. Not saying all good. Black people are good, but 70% of our teachers are from out of state. So if you don't know the population, you don't know the people, you can't relate to them. Okay. And we're quick to, and so think about this. If I see police officers shooting first and asking questions later, that'd be my excuse too. Well, I feared for my life. and then I shot, and then therefore, you know,
Yeah, Jimmy, that I never liked anyways.
exactly. Because the language that some of these teachers say about our kids are appalling.
Mhm.
And I tell folks, I shared that they lucky my mama's a praying woman, because I would Will Smith a whole bunch of them, you know.
In the name of the
But you know,
children. In the name of the children.
absolutely no, in for real. And so I don't know if you guys know, but Vegas has been a hotbed for violence happening in the classroom. We've had some teachers, some students do some things to some teachers. And so, you know, from my lens, I can't speak for their classrooms, but that would never happen in our classroom because one, we respect our students. So to get respect, and teachers are very hypocritical. We want all the, you know, we have this power. This is my classroom. These are my rules. You know, it's not mine, it's our. So if we're power hungry as teachers, you know, kids feel that. So you have to, if you want respect, you have to give respect. And sometimes we don't give respect. So then when kids act out, I'm not condoning what they do. I'm never condoning that. But at some point, you know, you only can call me so many names so many times.
Understandable.
You know,
yeah,
can
trust me. I'm a mental health advocate, and I deal with these kids that may have mental health issues. You know, when they get upset or something like this, you know, I do feel it as well, and I do get frustrated. So I can't imagine somebody that is unrelatable to pain that kids are having and don't like problem kids. So,
but to that point that you just talked about,
packing. Sorry, Greg. You have something to say?
But yeah, to that point though, you saying that is my classroom. Isn't a part of that necessary to make sure that, because the classroom, what goes on, it is your responsibility. I'm just saying what that line looked like when you're saying like it's so territorial where I don't know, I'm just trying to see what the dust up.
So if I'm telling you these are my rules, this is my classroom, I don't have any buy-in as a student. It's our classroom. You have to make them feel inclusive, because it really, and this is what I share with them. You are my boss. I work for you. And so when they hear that, like, oh, okay, like you don't work for me, I work for you. The taxpayers pay my salary. So therefore, when you include they busting fireworks already. When you include them, then they feel a sense of ownership. I
got you. That's a good point. Rich, you want to speak?
Yeah, I do. I just want to add something to that too. In addition to that, and Pullum and I talk about this all the time. It really comes down to, can you build a relationship with a child? When we walk on the campus as gentlemen by choice, and I have a classroom to myself, and the teachers leave, we may have conflict, and I'll tell a student, "This is my classroom," and talk to you otherwise. But I do that after I've gained the student's trust and respect, right? Because they want to feel respected, like they are being treated fairly, with a little bit of love, a little bit of understanding. And I think the other big issue is, you know, from an educator perspective, one of the things that we do very well as men is we love on our kids, right? We don't come in there with, I'm taking over. Nah, we're gonna work together. We're gonna establish some boundaries, but we're gonna do it in the name of love. And when you can touch a child's heart and let him or her understand how you feel about them from I'm gonna take care of you first, but I need some things back from you, then all that stuff kind of goes away. When it comes to a lot of the educators that I've experienced, in addition to what Pullum said, I think sometimes they're just frustrated and aggravated. And I've seen, teachers snap because the fact that they can't handle a child at a young age. So, I agree with Pullum that I wouldn't put a gun in everyone's hands, but I do think there might be, protocols to have a gun on campus. Right, with the principal. Well, I think that there's some people, maybe security guards training with arms.
Yes.
There's those kind of opportunities right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a firework.
I was looking at hey, Rich, you just off camera. You gotta fix your mic. But what I was looking at in these new gun laws, the so-called, what they call it is the so-called flag laws, was that they're going to be putting more resources and funding into the safety, to bolster the safety of school systems, which I don't know what that specifically means. They don't really go into detail. If you had to choose since you have been in the school system, where that funding would go, that to bolster safety, kind of where would you structure that money? Where do you see the lack?
Well, I think the key would be number one, surveillance. Two, having someone on campus that's armed, maybe 2 people, right?
Sorry about that.
And then I think the other thing is, you know, how would you set the campus up to make it a challenge for people to come in from outside and do that? I'm a former military guy. We practice deterrence. How do we deter someone? How do we make that threat less of a threat? I think you have to put in some countermeasures. I'm not in the security, so I can't speak specifically to that. But I think those are things that need to be considered and investigated and examined to see how they can make the campus more secure without making it prison-like, right? You still want to have a campus that's inviting to people. So I think the right mixture, the balance is pretty important.
Okay. Yeah, definitely like how you said that.
I
You said
can't hear.
more secure and not like a prison system.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's
I can't hear.
definitely.
You said you can't hear us, brother Pullum?
Yeah, you might need to go back out and come back in. That's okay. I'll ask you a question in a second. But
Let me see.
we might just take this time to go to a break and we'll fix all that and we'll be right back, fellas.
Success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it?
Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in and go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You
All right, welcome guys. If you need a haircut, it's getting summertime. You know, y'all gotta get fresh. Check that man out. So, as we're coming back, Flex, I want you to jump in on the conversation. We got some stuff from the audience. Some of the people are saying that administration can be a roadblock to some of the funding and some of the actual movements of these gun laws and actually what they're going to do. What kind of roadblocks do you see that will come up? Either Brother Richard or Flex, you can jump in on this. Mr. P, if you got some mic.
Yeah, why you getting
Okay, you're getting situated.
yeah, state your question again, man. I'm sorry.
No problem. Rich, I'll start with Rich. You can jump in, Flex. But what kind of roadblocks? Somebody said, Miss Mia Nicole, she said that administration can be some roadblocks. There's other roadblocks. What kind of roadblocks do you see? Even
Yeah,
having
I think that's correct. I think administration could be a roadblock. Again, parents would be a roadblock. I mean, there's a couple of things that we have to look at. I think the question is, what makes the most sense, right? I think sometimes in life, we take the this or that approach, right? It's either this or that, where I feel like that this is an opportunity to have a this and that conversation. What are some measures that can be balanced out that will make sense to protect the youth and the faculty of the school? And that could be, hey, listen, instead of having 5 guns on school, it could be having maybe 2 at some designated locations where people know about, and maybe training some of the teachers that can get the skill sets necessary to handle a firearm. So those are some of the things I think about.
definitely get the right people, the right protection. So I definitely agree with that as well. So yeah, I was coming to you anyways, brother. We've been waiting on you. What you got?
Yeah, I definitely would be a teacher that would carry. I'd carry anyway. So
how would we? So you saying that in volunteering? How would one go about, like a school system administration? How would one go about saying this is the guy that can carry?
I guess you'd have to take training. Take classes.
Okay.
Go out in the range, get put in the hours, and you have to be committed to it. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have it on your person. It would have it be locked up in the desk.
Okay.
I don't think we should have it on our persons, but
Good
have
idea.
it locked up in certain areas. I think a hall monitor should have a place or campus monitor, because they're monitoring the campus. So have them have a place where there's a place, a designated area where, hey, something happens, you go there, and have certain teachers strategically around the school. At our school, we just put up new cameras outside of the school to alert if somebody comes on campus. And usually, the sad thing is that usually the time that people can have access to the school is during dismissal and arrival. Rarely do you have somebody, because you have to go through certain doors to get through our school.
Okay.
So I don't know how it is on other campuses.
That's how most schools are. That's how most schools should be. I have a mentee, and even for me to go in, I have to get buzzed in and then I get to show my ID, get it scanned, then go get a visitor's pass. Though I will say that after I'm buzzed in, which is kind of a sketchy process in itself, it was just a lady at the front touching it. Nobody's there really. I didn't see it. I saw a security officer like maybe once close. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know you guys' school system, but some school systems lack that kind of stuff. Let me switch it to a different side. Oh, you got something?
Can I jump in for a second real quick?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's run this back. If you go to the school system, no one pats you down, right? You walk into the school system, you show your ID, they sign you in, you walk on campus, and now you're in a closed environment with a weapon on you. And no one can stop you because there's no protection or no one there that's armed to present you. So now you're on campus with live fire, right? Number one. The other thing I say to you is that, if you're going to give a gun to someone, it's because you can hand a gun to someone and say, go protect. And having to be in the military, it's a different kind of situation when people are shooting at you and you got a gun in your hand, right? Because now it's not like you see on TV where you just pulling the trigger. There's some tactics and some training that needs to be there. So I think you got to really examine this in a much deeper detail to make sure not only is the person capable, it's got to be they're willing, and are they psych tested to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And the reason why I agree with both. I think that there's opportunity for teachers to be armed, but that training should be so specialized and specific in
tactic training, like military. I think at least 3 of us have been in the military. We had a strict. Even people in the military have to get trained again and go through certain training to actually hold a gun.
People think they just
wrong, they take it.
People think that just when there's a threat, that everybody just pull out their gun and start shooting, man. In the military, there's the thing called muzzle awareness, and
there's an armory and all these different things. That's why I said, Brother P's, his idea of having an actual safe to where they had to think about it, go in and actually, and they're the only person with that. It's a good idea. I really don't see the point in bringing guns into the school system, period. Especially not when my daughter's there. No thanks. But there is to each his own, some kind of idea there. Do we have any more closing on the guns in the school?
So think about this though. I mean, a person's going to do what they're going to do, but it might deter if people knew that there are people on campus potentially armed.
Oh yes,
it's just a deterrent. I'm not saying that
the marshals, the undercover marshals in the air. So I do agree, because in the last podcast I said if there was a security guard standing at the front, he probably wouldn't even had that thought, though he came through the side, which is kind of suspect in the first place because somebody said it's supposed to always be locked. But anyway, so though he came through the side, if somebody was at the front, the idea would have been gone in his head, probably. Because
let me use this analogy real quick. I don't know if you guys have cannabis places out where you got in Virginia and Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of cannabis stores out here. You go by a cannabis store, you see somebody out there with a gun.
Strap.
So they're protecting. So think about this: we're protecting our cannabis and money, but we can't protect our most precious resources, children.
Absolutely.
Well, let's think about this: the people that are making the decision are lawmakers. You can't get through that building. They got more security and metal detectors than. It's crazy. So for them to make these laws to allow anybody to have a weapon, but then the law enforcement community or the teachers or the educators are left to deal with the fallout for that. I really have an issue with that.
And I think they're also attacking the most vulnerable population when you go into a school, right?
Good point.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's the key.
especially elementary.
There's a couple of different aesthetics that too. One is, what is the message to a child? They walk up to a school and you got someone standing out in front. So I think I think it's a much bigger, more complicated picture than what we're drawing right now, because there's so many facets of this that need to be examined and looked at thoroughly, because, you know, having a gun in the hand and a child walks to school, that could be traumatization to a child at an early age, right?
That's a good point.
So, I mean, you got to really look at this and vet it on so many different levels, man.
Yes.
Hey, so let me say this. So how did you feel? I don't know. We've never had gun detectors at a school. So how do you feel on the East Coast going to school, walking through a gun detector every day?
Walking the what?
Walking through a gun detector every day. How is that?
Well,
I've never had that experience at a
it
school.
doesn't-
So I
it
mean, does that
doesn't
pay on the
change.
psyche?
No, because I mean, you're still promoting safety. I think the visualization of someone standing in front of an elementary school, let's
I'm not-
say, with a weapon, right?
I'm not saying they have to have a
here's
gun
the
on
other
them like
thing.
this, but
Even the other thing is, if people know, I mean, you have school police in Vegas that walk around with guns on their hip, right? So we have some measures of protection. What I'm saying to you is, we got to worry about, especially at elementary school, what's the aesthetics and how we're going to make sure that people stay safe and be aware. And the other piece of it is, to me, is you know, parents. You know, how do they feel about this issue?
all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So Mars, as a parent, how would you feel knowing that there were some staff with guns, or that there were potentially guns on campus? Do you feel like yay or nay?
To me, if my daughter's at that school, nay. And
Okay.
I'd say, but I've been to schools where you got the cop. You know, I mean, my stepfather was a cop, and at some point he did protect the schools. You know what I mean? So, and I even had cop best friends in school because I was always in trouble. So, you know, that's just usually how it is. They knew me and I knew them. But I think it's a good thing having protection, and that protection, because you have to have equal force or opportunity for equal force. Do you see what I'm saying? And there is no equal force when it comes to AR-15s. That's why we're talking about, unless you have another AR-15. Do not give me any protection where there's an AR-15 in my school system ever. Don't do that, especially not my little girl. But handguns, I don't really see too much of the problem, but I think you have to make it right. You see what I'm saying? You have to make it right. The good ideas, like putting it in an armory, having, like somebody said in the comments, kind of like a fire alarm situation, which I know I had. Active shooter.
So let's go ahead and take that. Yeah, let's read the
Better.
comment and then we can address it.
What do you say?
Go ahead and read the comment. Then
It could be like a fire alarm where the teachers have to pull and release weapons, and also an alarm will sound for teachers that gives an opportunity for teachers to pursue and also know that law enforcement is on the way. I work at a mental health facility, nonprofit, where they have the front ladies, the front desk ladies who have no training whatsoever. If somebody comes in and starts acting crazy, they can press the button, and it's like one of those things where the cops come in, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? School should have that. I don't know if they already have one. If they don't, that's preposterous. Number one, do you fellas know about that? Like a shit's hitting the fan button?
Well, now because here in Nevada, Las Vegas, because of the pandemic of fights going on campus, they're trying to alarm teachers with something around their neck so they could push a button to alert the admin, to alert school police and Metro.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I heard
but
that
I
that's a rising issue. Is that really that big of an issue? Like these brawls that are happening?
Absolutely. In Vegas,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
From elementary.
Can you guys elaborate on that specifically? Because that is actually a thing to where these gun laws and a teacher carrying could cause an issue.
Yeah, so
Right.
one of the things that we noticed after the pandemic, when the students went back in the classrooms, that the behavior was more or less, there was less control. And where you had a lot of structure, think about a lot of students, especially your third, fourth, and fifth graders and high school students, middle school as well. There's been situations where they've had less structure and no control for maybe 2 or 3 years, right? And if they stayed home before and they come back into a school setting and now you've lost an opportunity for socialization in a positive way. You've lost that structure, that discipline that schools normally provide or supposed to provide, and now you put them back in a situation where they're supposed to assimilate to the environment, and yet those pieces are missing, especially if they're in the developmental stages. So you have a lot of opportunity for misunderstandings, and then the staff is not necessarily, in my opinion, teachers are not necessarily trained. Some are not necessarily trained to deal with trauma and conflict or conflict resolution at that level. There's some training, but you can't stop. And in Vegas, we've seen it where, you had high school teachers, mop-up teachers, high school students beat up the teachers.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a scary situation for a lot of teachers, especially if you're a female teacher, because you're in this environment. And if the students are looking like men, or grown people, and I got to deal with them, that's a challenge.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said earlier, that the fact that we're putting so much responsibility on the educators and the law enforcement to be the voice of reason, to be the protectors, when it shouldn't be this many guns on the street anyway. So maybe it's too late to, I don't know, to a point to where we can't do much on that end. But I got a real issue with that, again, especially when you consider that our political leaders, they're protected. You can't get in there with a weapon. You can't get in there with change in your pocket because the metal detector is going to be going off. But it's not the same thing when you go into these schools where you say our most vulnerable population. I just
want to say this. I mean, if it wasn't for the military, I wouldn't have seen an AR-15. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are those around so heavily for 18-year-olds? You know, I mean, it's just beyond me. Miss Kayla Ware said, what was that? Yeah, the more drills and the scenarios, those right there, more drills and plans. These is the stuff that should come out of these new gun laws, and more funding into the school system. Drills and plans for these situations, and what kind of, I know we spoke kind of on the drills, but can you guys kind of see what kind of drill or scenario that could be in place or put together? Because I know that we had the active shooter, but that's not enough. That obviously is not enough, or people aren't even doing it anymore. Can you guys think of a drill or some kind of plan that would be effective in the systems that you guys see? Or let's say like this mass brawl, what kind of scenario can you train teachers to feel more comfortable?
Well, I think a couple of things. If you're going to do something like that, and we'll talk about military experience, right? You know that when there's chaos, you got to remain calm and you have to take control of the situation. Would you agree with that?
I do. Somebody said escape routes. So if you got an escape route, that means you need a leader. You got to get everybody somewhere.
So here's the thing. If you have, even in the active shooter drill, I remember at a school I was at in Hawaii where they did an active shooter drill. And what was really interesting to me is that those around me that have never heard gunfire, they froze. And that's the difference between life and death, right? So to me, I think that it has to be a repetition. One of the things that bothers me about the school environment is that they practice these drills once in a while without any kind of regularity or consistency. And the other component of that is that how many teachers take them seriously enough to make changes in their approach to understand how to do it. So you're playing with fire when the drill is not taken seriously and you don't have someone in leadership really directing. I mean, I was at a school in Hawaii and I'm looking at the principal and the assistant principal, and I know for a fact that they had never really done this drill, never really thought it out. It's not concrete. And so that's always been a concern to me, because it needs to be practiced not once or twice a year, but maybe on a routine basis when you start getting to this level in our society.
So do you think, I really appreciate you. I'm glad that you went through that experience. But first of all, let me say this. When I went through active shooter, there was no gun play. I mean, like there was no music of gun going on, which makes sense. You know what I mean? So that way, you even said in this drill, people froze. So I can't imagine when we're doing it. And then also, what are these drills sent to the kids if they're doing it? Are we just having it for the educators? Like, is it like a half day where the educators stay, or are these kids in it too, or?
Well, my experience
for a drill, no, a drill.
It was educate. It was for just educators. Okay. The expense of just for educators.
Okay. Okay.
So we have drills. We have fire drills, and we have what they call soft lockdowns and hard lockdowns. So usually a hard lockdown is somebody has some type of weapon in the area. And that's where you cut the lights off, sit down, be still. And we're practicing these. For example, we were practicing one and we cut the lights off on the stage and the kindergartners start crying. Like crying, like I'm like they started crying. They were coming up to me, hugging me, like, I'm scared, Mr. Plum, I'm scared.
Wow.
So it's powerful. So like to Jack's point, it has to be a regular basis. We study multiplication, we study our alphabets. It needs to be something where it's on a routine basis. But then on the flip side, it becomes numb. So then when it really happens, then it's like, it's just another practice.
Yeah.
So
I'm just thinking about this comment right here. What Crystal says, I think it would be traumatic back in our day, but kids these days know what's happening and they've
already been through that so much.
Feel safer. I guess it depends on the situation, the kid, the school. But yeah, I could see that it could be traumatic though. To your point, I could see an elementary kid responding to an active shooter drill could be like, man, very troubling.
And we think that it's been rough this past year. What is it going to look like next year? We have a great, massive migration of teachers. Like teachers are leaving at an unbearable rate. Like we've lost 1,700 teachers. We're probably going to lose another probably 500 in July. So we're not filling these spaces up. And this is across the country. Teachers are leaving at an enormous rate, and we're not filling them back up. Teachers don't, first of all, one pay. And like Flex, the producer, was said, is that, we're putting so much on teachers. And so teachers are like, hey, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for active shooting. I didn't sign up. I just want to teach. And so they're, it's about test scores. So now I'm teaching from a book. I'm not teaching from my heart. And many teachers, their purpose is to do the right thing, but they're like, man, I'm not a robot. So they're leaving. Like the pandemic showed, not only people talk about the stress of children, they're not talking about the stress of educators. It was a lot of stress. Think about it. If I'm an old school teacher and I never really taught from a computer, now I got to teach a year and a half from a computer. Man, that stressed a lot of, because it seems so simple to us because it's a daily habit for us. But there are many teachers who were old school that were like, man, I mean, for real, I mean, like stressing out. Like teachers were taking days and weeks off because they were stressing about teaching from a computer. And so and people aren't going into teaching anymore. So the classroom sizes are going to get bigger next year. Wow. So think about it. If I had a class of 25, and I was struggling, now I'm gonna have a class of 40 next year. Just imagine what that's gonna look
40
like.
Kids.
And that's happening.
That's a college lecture.
And that's happening in schools that look like us.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's troubling, man. So the question we talked about the teachers not being heard. What about the students? Do they voice their concerns with these shootings and
their behaviors too?
Yeah, what are they saying to y'all
about the shootings?
Yeah, are they voicing their concerns about it?
Yeah, I very rarely do we have. I had a conversation with a child about a shooting. I just have never experienced that. I know that there's been numerous out there. I know we've done things like, hey, how does this affect you? Are they scared? Sure. I mean, we deal with elementary school students. Are they unaware? Are they uncertain as to what tomorrow holds? But I think a lot of times our students just kind of shake it off. And I think to some degree there's a desensitization happening because this has become a common issue in our society, right? So they're desensitized now. It's like, okay, it's just like when they kill black people on TV, and okay, well, we've learned to accept the behavior as the norm. And there's those that'll take it really deep, and there's those that'll get up the next day. It's just another occurrence in life, and we just keep pressing on. So it's sad to say that, but I think that's some of it.
Yeah.
Do you think desensitization is a good thing sometimes? Because kind of what we're talking about is desensitizing them to the act of shooting. Different drills if we're going to do them over and over and different things like that. When we have these conversations about Texas shootings, you know, at schools, like is it a good thing to kind of continuously talk to them about this stuff or drill this stuff with the kids, or are we getting them ready? Is just 2020? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think the idea that when you're talking about, I think the desensitizing happens when you see it over and over again. I think the drill should be designed to how to respond in crisis as best you can for youth. So you got two different outcomes you're trying to achieve. There's a desensitization happens where we see it and it becomes a common routine. The idea of when you hear that gun or you hear that noise or you hear that alarm, how do you respond so it becomes automatic and you're not hesitating, but you're taking shelter appropriately? I think it's two different conversations.
Okay.
And when we do the drill, and when drills are happening, when you come back to the classroom, there's no conversation about it. It's just, back to chapter 2, let's get our books. We return instead of having a discussion like, hey, how did you feel? What do you think we should have did? Should we have, you know, we need to talk about that, because again, it's just the alarm go off. And again, it's just become so routine. People are out there talking. It becomes like a break, like literally. It becomes a break. And so I think there needs to be when we come back to class, we need to talk about it and let them know how serious this can be. Like if this would have happened, we should have did this, X, Y, and Z. But to Jack's point, I was teaching at a school. My students used to come to school and be like, yeah, Mr. Pullum, yeah, they were shooting last night. Bullet came through the house. We dug down. They stopped shooting. We got up. We continued what we were doing. And I'm thinking like, and I'm tripping about them because they didn't do their homework or you know, they didn't study their multiplication, or they just trying to in survival mode. And so think about those teachers who can't relate to those situations. They on these kids' head.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you didn't do your homework?
Out in the streets and at school.
Exactly. And school is supposed to be a safe space. And now a lot of kids don't feel safe when they even come to school. So if they're not feeling safe at home in their environment, and then now they're coming to a school and they're not feeling safe, when do they feel safe?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. When do they feel safe? Because like I said, I'm a mental health advocate. I'm going to continue to say that because I just want to spread the positivity and the empowerment, especially for the youth at these ages that you guys are dealing with. When do they feel safe? This is the mental part of it. And as we do the reform of the gun laws that are getting passed, in there it says that they're going to do some more funding with mental health resources and mental health supplies for the youth and school systems. What do you guys think about that, and how does that look? How should that look to you guys? Especially when we're talking about where do they feel safe? How do they feel safe? That's a part of their mental health. How do we structure that money?
Can I be 100% transparent? We need to get more black men on. We need to get more black men on campus.
Yes,
that would help a lot, because we have a different present. Like Jack and I could go to any school, and we can go to any school in the country and build a report, because that's what we as black men do. We build reports. Like you two could come out here right now from Virginia and Texas and go on the campus and build a report quicker than some teachers who've been on campus for 2 or 3 years. So we need to have more black men on campuses. And then now I feel safe. Now I can talk, because this is about letting them have a sense of ownership, and then somebody that listens to them. Because when we're present, sometimes we're not present. Kids just want to be heard, and they're telling us, they're speaking to us, and we're not listening. We aren't doing a good job of listening.
So that
just want to be
absolutely
this question right here. What Nikki says, kids know what kids are troubled and likely to harm the school. There should be something in place for the children to express their safety concerns. What do you think about that?
We do have a hotline where parents can call, students, staff. There's a hotline to help with that. So I have to give Vegas props on that. They do have one of those where they can reach out in.
For teens?
Everybody, it's anonymous. Anybody can call.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I also think too, in conjunction with that, I believe that when you build an environment where kids feel included, you open up the doors and you get to know the students on campus. I agree with what the young lady said. They know who the
Yeah,
troubled child is,
absolutely.
and maybe it's the fact that in some of the schools that are out there, there's no relationships, right? When you talk about gentlemen by choice and some of the things that we do to kind of go in there and make things happen, the first thing we focus on is how can we get to know you and your parent, not just you, right? To make you feel safe, to comfort you. And then we make it personal, reach out to them and talk to them on a consistent basis. We don't always get it right, but I'll tell you this, we get it more right than wrong.
Yeah, high percentage.
Because you guys listen.
Like Jared. Jared saw an example of 3 of the students I taught. He saw the relationship that we had. I taught them in 3rd grade, and now they're sophomores in college, and we still have a great relationship. One told me, like, man, Mr. Fulham, when I make it, man, pack your bags. We going wherever you want to go, we're going. You know, that feels good. You know, we don't do it for that. We do it because we love what we do. And, you know, and I share with 2 things I say. You have to be a student of your students. And then it's about being consistent, having discipline, routines, and relationships. You have those down, man, that goes a long way.
Yeah. So this comment right here from Ryan King said, I think one of the ways youth can feel safe are programs like Gentlemen by Choice. So I think this is a great opportunity to segue into your organization and specifically what do y'all do and offer in the community there in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we started out as a mentorship organization, and then we became specialized in teacher leadership, image, financial management, and etiquette training over a 16-week period, which is really 16 hours. We work with students who are what we consider Tier 2, RTI, Tier 2, Response Intervention Tier 2 students that are struggling with behavior or attitude issues, or at least perceived that way. And then we come beside them and we coach them into better behavior, better decisions, and to change. And that's a specialty for us because we really take the student-centered approach. We put our arms around them and we do a lot of things in love while at the same time installing discipline and structure into their environments. So we're very strategic about how we approach the situation. We understand the population that we want to serve, and we kind of give them leadership. You know, your attitude and behavior and how that affects your outcomes. Image, how do you dress for success? Financial management or literacy, do I understand the purpose of money, how to make decisions? And then etiquette training, how am I treating a lady? And when we realize that when we take a young man and we change the way he sees a woman and treat her like a lady, which is the word gentleman, I am a gentleman by choice, when he makes that determination, it changes the way he behaves in school.
Absolutely.
And then also it's about exposure. At the end of the thing is, you know, we zip it down. It's about exposing our youth, and we bring in people who are leaders in the community, and they converse with our students, and they're like, "Hey, I want to be like that person." You know, we show somebody with the image. You know, hey, we have people come in, show them how to tie ties. We teach them how to tie ties, bow ties. We dress them. And what's cool is that they hold each other accountable. One, we have high expectations because kids will reach your expectations. You have low expectations, they'll reach it. High expectations, they'll go through the roof for it. And so, you know, we educate, equip, and we model too. Like Jack and I show them, you know, Jack and I have cried on each other's shoulder, and they've seen that. They've seen the true love, the passion, you know, and expectations. And we help them navigate through the classrooms. Like we know, you know, teachers are going to do X, Y, and Z. We can't change their behaviors, but we can help you change your behaviors, how you respond to what they're doing. And just to see the response, like they, you know, week 1, they may be talking back. By week 4, they're like, yes, ma'am, I get it. I understand, you know.
I think you agree that it's more so that respect and showing them that you see them is the biggest thing.
Right. You have to see them. You have to. And many teachers don't see our babies, and that's a sad thing. it pains me to know that we have people standing in front of our kids and they don't see them. And then too, they don't hear them. And our kids are telling us, see me, hear me. And that's what we do in Gentlemen by Choice. And then we have ladies by choice too. We don't want to exclude the young ladies. And so, yeah, and excuse me?
I said congrats on that too.
Well, thank you. We just had a gala May 22nd. We had over 400 guests. We had 80 young men and 25, I think 25, somewhere around there. You know, they're in tuxedos. Our young ladies were in their dresses, you know, and so they get to actually engage in what they've learned, sitting at the table, knowing a lot of grown folk don't know their dinner spoon, you know, salad, you know, and they knew all that stuff. and then what was beautiful that we had two of our original, we call them OGs, original gents. They emceed the whole gala. Like they were in front of 400 people emceeing the gala. So we poured into what we want them to be, and then we step back and let them flourish. And so we just love it. We're passionate about what we do.
And I think you brothers will appreciate this, man. I think you guys appreciate this being former military cats. It's practice, drill, rehearse, right?
Yeah.
We practice, we talk about it, which is the practice. We drill it into them, and then we put them on the stage to rehearse it, so they get the chance to see what that experience is like. And the curriculum is so simple that, because it's really not about the curriculum, it's about building community in the school, that we took the same curriculum and applied it to the young ladies. And we saw that even though we taught the classes somewhat differently, the core of what we teach is so important. And one of the best experiences we had this year was we took 125 students to etiquette training. We taught it in class. Then we took them to dinner and let them practice it before the gala. So when they walked into the gala, they were fully prepared.
Yeah, I think that it's so cool. Because like I said, this is what I do, and I try to empower the youth. So exposure, like Mr. Palm said, exposure is the biggest thing, because there's something that they would have never done. You know what I mean? Some of my mentees, some of the people I work with, I take them and I do yoga, meditation, planting, all these different things that they've never been exposed to or never would be exposed to, right? And then I go to community events like Vision Driven 757 local nonprofit. They had an event where the moderator was, I think he was like 11, you know what I mean? And all the vendors basically were younger. They were mostly younger than me. Nobody was older than 16. And a lot of them were like younger than like 14. Most of them were younger than 14. And they had their different businesses, like either cooking, popcorn business. Some of them had painting. And they were all running these businesses and running the community event. And it's good to expose them to things like this. Like Gentlemen by Choice, I wish we had something closer that was structured with Black men. Like you guys say, we do need a lot more Black men. We need a lot more men in gentle. But
anytime you want to pick it up, man. Anytime you want to bring it to your location.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
we started out in Vegas, and we went to. I had the opportunity to move to Hawaii. There's another brother who we were dealing with here in Vegas who lived in Tacoma, Washington. We went from being in one state, in one school, to being in 3 states in 3 schools.
Four
Schools, but in automatically, like overnight, right? And the biggest thing is that anybody can pick up the curriculum, go in and implement it. If you have a military background or paramilitary background, and you understand how to employ discipline and structure in a positive way, or a teacher, right? If you understand how to do that, it's not a challenge, man. And it's designed for that, because we want to spread the word and get out there. But these are some basic fundamentals that all young men and young women need. So we're teaching pro-social skills.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna share this picture right here. Brother Pullum sent this picture. I'm gonna let you talk to it, man. Tell us what's going on here.
Well, you tell me. Look at the smile. So that the lady she's the lieutenant governor of our state. Okay. And so when she sat down and she talked to them for about 10 minutes, and the exposure, like they're exposed to lieutenant governor. She was telling them the power. She was sharing her story. And that was so powerful for me to see the reaction. Look at the one that's eating. and then the one with that smiling. It was just it was a beautiful exchange. You know, I know she's a politician, but she just didn't come to sit and like, hey, I'm here and then I'm left. She actually sat down and had real conversations with them. And she was sharing with them, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything you want to. And so they were just amazed. They were just amazed that the lieutenant governor sat down and talked to them.
So with that, is there a challenge with getting the local politicians and elected officials involved with what you're doing?
Here in Vegas, not other places, but you know, we have this, you know, we work in such silos. You know, they've done a great job of conquering and dividing us as Black folks. So we work in silos, and they know when we come together that we can make some tsunamis in these things called the ocean of life. So, you know, Jack and I do what we do. We're not gonna let anybody stop us from doing what we're doing. You know, if we had to live in a tent, I mean, we're gonna do what we do because we love what we do, and we see the outcomes that are needed for our youth to be successful.
Yeah, man, that's good.
And we'll get the right people, like we met you, you know. So, and again, it's you know, we decipher all the BS and we get to real people, and we met you, and so now people hear our platform. And so who knows? They're like, hey, we have a website. You could donate some money.
Yeah.
Just because I'm gonna be honest. The thing that hinders us is that Jack and I aren't about, oh, look what we're doing. We're not. We should be on Facebook more. People really don't even know us and we know a lot of people, but we just get into work. We just go in, put our hard hat on, our lunch pail, and grind. Like, we don't take a lot of pictures of stuff because we working.
Yeah.
You know, we're not in it for like, look at me, look. We just grind, and that's what we do. And then we'll look up afterwards and be like, man, we didn't take any pictures. Yeah. And we'll say next year we're gonna take pictures. And guess what? The next year we don't, because we grinded.
That sounds like this weekend, right?
Exactly. So, but we love what we do, and just to see, and I have a ton of pictures, you know, and so we're gonna sit down and put some things together. But what we did now, we got a videographer that's going to be on our hip so that we can actually start showing what we do. And it won't be from a lens of like what Jack and Pullum say. It'll be a lens from what he's 17. He's one of our babies I taught. You saw him, Jared. He was walking around with the camera. So he's gonna walk around and give his lens, because we're saying, look, this is you. This is what you do. You do you. And let people see what we do through your lens. And so we're excited about that.
That's pretty awesome. That empowerment, that exposure.
All day.
I love what you guys are doing. Gentlemen by choice. Hopefully a lot more gentlemen by choice will be coming up with the things you guys do, the things I do. I definitely want to connect with you guys, maybe bring some gentlemen by choice and Neurospace together. Any parting words from you fellas? I really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing that positive energy, because we definitely need it, especially in times like these. Mr. P, you got any parting words? Any, like you said, you don't do the social media. What platforms? Where can we donate? Come on, spit it out there, brother. We got to support.
Gentlemenbychoice.org. And then we have a Facebook page, Facebook page, Gentlemen by Choice. What the words I want to leave with is that I love the fact that we are from 3 different parts of the country, and we're united. We just met you, Brother Mars, and I feel like I've been knowing you for a lifetime. Like, you're authentic and real, and I appreciate that. And Jared, we bonded, and we had a great conversation over lunch the other day. And I'm just excited so we can continue these discussions. And I told you guys, anytime you want me on, I'm here. And Jack sure feels the same way. And this is lighting a fire underneath us to start our podcast, because we have a lot to say.
You do,
man. So yes, we do.
And I hope you guys bring me on. I got a lot to say as well. And you guys absolutely with empowering and all that stuff, we definitely got a link. Brother Richard, you got any parting words for the people?
I just want to tell you guys, this is a blessing. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and share some perspective. I love what you brothers is doing. Any which way we can support Mars, Flex. Hey, listen, man, we're willing to bring a Gentleman by Choice chapter to you at the hometown. If you guys is invested and willing to, we got the blueprint. We ain't perfect, but we do our thing. and continued success to you, brothers, man. Anything that we can do from our end to connect, link up, flex. You know, Pullum and I, when we had that session on Saturday, I kind of rolled out the back door because I was like, you know, I didn't get to finish to stop to finish the conversation. And what I'm going back to is biblical, where the harvest is many, but the laborers are few. And I think there's so much work to be done as Black men to really pick up that shovel, do our part, and dig in and make some things happen. And so we'll be seeing you back in Vegas with Mars soon. We're going to try to continue that conversation we had on Saturday. But then I want you guys to keep in the back of your mind, whenever you're ready to put a Gentleman by Choice chapter in your hometown, you put me in connect with the right people, and let's just do what we do to make a difference in the lives of our young people, man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Flex.
Man, I just want to amplify what these men are saying. The harvest is great, but labels are few. But the thing is, man, we're equipped for it. You know, just the support from you all. You know, the love and just, man, what y'all showed me when I was there, it really lit a fire under me, and I just wanted to come back and you know, and take up and do more. So I know it gets tiring sometimes. What I tell people a lot of times, even God ordained missions, they can suffer if we don't structure and organize right. And what I saw this past weekend was structured, it was organized, it was the right people in the right place with the right heart, and they all bought into the thing. So that's what I want us to continue to do. You know, that Jack, what you just offered, man, I'm gonna take that to heart, and I really want to see what we can get here in the Texas area doing what you're doing. Not that it's not people here doing it, but you know, sometimes just doing it a little different, a new face, new ideas, fresh, new thinking can just make waves. So appreciate you guys making time for this. We can all talk for days. We've all said that before, but you know, I felt something when I talked to y'all, man, and I just really want to make sure that we're supporting each other in the way that we can.
Blessings, brother. Appreciate you.
I hate that it's just an hour. I hate that it's just an hour, man.
I know. Hey, trust me. This will not be the end. Trust me. I promise you. It will not be the end. I got a podcast another one coming up. We got more on Greenwood. You guys said you got that light, that fire to start y'all's. It's not going to be just this hour. I promise you.
And the next time we get together, I would love to talk about the actual men's health and wellness, because that was very powerful.
Actually, I got something coming up, so we're gonna shoot you a link pretty soon.
Okay.
Shameless plug: Black Men's Point of View Mental Health. That'll be June 25th through Mogul TV. Register now. We'll get that to anybody that needs that. Hit up Neurospace or Flex, the producer, for that. But I really do appreciate you guys coming here for sure. This will not be the last time we talk. Gentlemen's by Choice. These two brothers are doing it up over in the Vegas area. Flex, the producer, doing his thing over in Texas. My name is Mars. As always, thanks for coming to Greenwood. Follow me on neurospace.llc. Appreciate y'all.
Peace. Thank you.
They the Roy's new podcast, who want the smoke? Coming raw and uncut like who want this dope? Whatever you want, they for sure to cover the topic. From racial issues to fashion flies to cockpit. Y'all ain't never get it like this, cause they ain't never did it like this. We on our this the way the cookie crumbles for y'all. She gon' bring the inspiration to all. You know what's up with her. And this shit manifesting is the vision. And y'all gon' love TJ cause he the realest. From the heart of a mob, they the start of it all. You looking for a high learning, holla at your rug. The professor, nothing less coming at you with the lessons. Get your edge if you knowin' what's good for you. They educated, but they still keep it hood for you. Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, got more love for yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how pro the floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Peace.